Welcome back to our final contribution of this segment on tokenization. I welcome Daniela Merz-Lander, Maximilian Marenbach, Carla Bünger, and Dieter Fishbein to our final panel. Can you hear me? I hope you're fine.
Yes.
Great.
Oh, well, okay.
Then please tell us, why will tokenization of assets be the future? Have fun.
Yes, I'm taking over. Good afternoon, and welcome to our panel discussions. Why will tokenization of assets be the future? My name is Carla Bünger. I'm CEO of Core Technologies, and I will start this panel discussion by a quick introduction about Core Technologies and the advantages and disadvantages of asset tokenization. And then we'll head over to the panel discussion with my fellow panelists. I'm going to introduce them in approximately 5 minutes. So I'm going to share my screen. I hope this all works out. Yep. So does that work? Can you see it? Yeah, it should be working. Good. Nothing works. I cannot move. Here. Yes. So who is Core Technologies? We are a company that is a leader in high-performance digital asset systems. So basically, the company is building, integrating, and operating scalable blockchain solutions for corporate clients. So we focus rather on large clients. We offer an encompassing end-to-end product, which is basically a one-stop shop for the client. And it is composed of 4 different product pillars, starting with, let's say, the base infrastructure to get into the game of digital assets at all is a private key custody solution coupled with blockchain nodes, and all of this operated in geo-redundant Linux One servers based in Switzerland. So we are operating them ourselves, and we chose to go for a technology that is especially prone for digital assets management. This is kind of the entry ticket that every corporate has to take in order to enter this space. A second product pillar that we are offering, obviously also linked to this panel discussion, is our investment platform, which is basically a tokenization platform where all kinds of assets can be tokenized, and then the life cycle of the token can be managed, as well as the token holders. Digital cash is the third product pillar we are offering. This is something that every corporate will have to integrate at some point, as soon as the European Central Bank is going to emit a central bank digital currency or digital euro that is open for the large public. I know this is not in the making right now, but many governments are already talking about this, and China has already introduced it. So I think this is a matter of time until we will get there. And at this point of time, every company will have to integrate this into their legacy system. And finally, the fourth product pillar that we are offering is Core Insights. It's basically a middleware to link your legacy system or your IT system of your corporate into blockchain protocols. Basically, you kind of have to have the link to the blockchain protocol to be sure that the transaction you have initiated is also executed and reported back to your system. So all this offers the client a full product solution that englobes, at this point of time, all elements necessary to manage digital assets. So why is this unique, and how do we really add value to the client? Basically, since we are a one-stop shop solution, our clients don't have to integrate different service providers, but can only relate to us. And we are a partner on the long run with different aspects of the software that we are providing. Secondly, we operate ourselves infrastructure. So that means that we have developed infrastructure and software that is highly intertwined with each other. And if you can do that from one source and one hand, this generates unparalleled efficiencies and security levels. Thirdly, we have created a high-performance engine that really allows our clients to handle millions of transactions at scale in an enterprise environment. This is not often the case, and this is why we qualify to really serve large clients. So I think you all joined this panel discussion to see a little bit more concrete stuff. So I wanted to share two of our clients or client projects that we have implemented. The first one that you can see here is a client called Tokenized. This is a commodity trading conglomerate that has decided to digitalize the way they work together. Essentially, these are companies that with each other trade copper and palladium. So it's the largest commodity traders in this area. And they are building together a platform that will allow them to trade faster and better and at less cost and more efficiently in order to manage this very high-paced commodity trading area. A second client we have implemented is called Crowdly Token. This is a very good example for an asset token that has been realized today. Crowdly Token is basically offering a bond to retail investors who can participate in the platform with already 100 Swiss francs, and they can allocate these 100 Swiss francs in form of tokens into the platform, which is basically real estate that generates a yield of up to 7% per year. So basically you buy into the platform, you allocate your tokens to the real estate project of choice, and you collect yield. So a very good asset token. However, we have not implemented today asset tokens that are traded in secondary markets. And I think this is exactly where the problem is. Especially security tokens are difficult to be traded. And therefore, this is an asset that is in the making, let's say it like that. And this is also why we are going to discuss this in the panel discussion. So that leads me to the discussion and the introduction to my fellow panelists. Now we're coming into why will tokenization of assets be the future? And let me give you two slides about advantages and challenges in the tokenization space. We have heard it quite extensively already this afternoon, so consider this a pure summary that will take only a minute. So why do we want to tokenize assets? I think most important reason will be the possibility to fractionalize the assets. So that means you don't have to buy a full share. You can buy parts of one share or parts of an art piece, as Costa Digit has so well shown us in the speech before. This makes the space or the investment space in general accessible to a broader public, and it means it fosters financial inclusion also for people who are not qualified investors, but who still want to have the same investment opportunities as people who trade and deal in investments every day. So secondly, there are a few additional advantages of tokenization. Traceability is certainly one element. Simplification of transfer, because you simply transfer the token. Well, regulation will also state that you cannot simply transfer the token, but you also have to manage registers. So we are not quite clear yet on that side. However, we are quite sure about the fact that tokenization will potentially reduce costs because transfer is simplified. And then, of course, the increase of transparency. So there are many interesting points. I'm sure we will hear more of them in the panel discussions that will follow right after. However, there are also challenges with asset tokenization. Most important one being certainly the lack of standards. So today, if you find a tokenized security, a tokenized asset in any way, you will have to do your due diligence and make sure that the thing you are buying is somehow legit. And you don't have any security today that it has completed a global agreed standard where you can rely on in general. So this is a real problem because we have unclear and highly fragmented regulation. Security tokens will have, if they are going to be traded globally, will have to comply with every regulation of every country. So that's going to be a huge challenge as well. As I already mentioned, there is a very scarce secondary market today, since there is, in absence of coherent regulation, secondary markets cannot simply list security tokens, and therefore the trading facilities are simply not available or very scarce. And then we have unclear integration today into the existing systems, stock exchanges, but all the players around this ecosystem. It's not clear yet how this is exactly going to be. Many stock exchanges have started projects, but we will hear more about this from Börse Stuttgart. Daniela, who is in the panel, will certainly take a stand on this. And then digital assets have the inherent vulnerability to cybercrime. This is a problem. You have to make sure to have the right infrastructure if you want to invest in this kind of assets. And this is not entirely cost-free. So this brings me to the last point. We have an important ramp-up cost if you want to emit digital assets today, simply because there is no standard and there is no easy way forward. So you have to really pull up your sleeves and march on territory that is quite shaky and where you have to take risks. That being said, I would love to kick off the panel discussion right now. Let me stop the screen sharing. And it is my pleasure to introduce my three panel participants, starting with Max Marenbach, joining us from Singapore. He is head of the Asia Pacific expansion and head of banking and payments at Kraken, the digital assets exchange. Please, Max, introduce yourself.
Thank you so much, Carla. Thank you so much. One minor correction, I'm actually based in Sydney
I'm
now,
sorry.
but this is no worries.
Sorry.
But thank you so much for the introduction, for the great first 10 minutes of this panel, to really set the standards for this. Thank you, we appreciate it. My name is Maximilian. I've been with Kraken for roughly 3.5 years now. And as the title suggests, I'm working on our global banking payments infrastructure, as well as several secret strategic initiatives across the wider APAC region. And I'm originally from Amsterdam, but I've been relocating to Sydney fairly recently. I'm very excited to be here today and learning a lot.
Thank you very much, Max. Now, Daniela, the honors is yours. Daniela Merz-Landers from Börse Stuttgart Digital Venture. She is the technical lead of crypto custody and tokenization at Börse Stuttgart, and she's joining us from Germany. Please, Daniela.
Thank you, Carla, for the sweet first notes. Yes, I'm joining from Stuttgart, and as you said, I'm currently leading the development of our products in the area of crypto custody and tokenization for Börse Stuttgart. I've been working now in the blockchain space for about 3 years, mainly focusing also on smart contracts and the Ethereum network. My background is actually more in the financial modeling mathematics area, and I later switched then more into software engineering. So not coming that much from the development by raising, but coming in there a bit later.
Thank you very much, Daniela. Dieter, your turn. Dieter Fishbein is from the Web3 Foundation. So basically, he's head of ecosystem development of Polkadot. And I think, Dieter, if I'm not mistaken, you are located in Zurich today, right?
I'm actually in our office in Zug today, but often in Zurich as well. So close enough.
20 minutes.
Exactly. Thanks so much, Carla, and really happy to be here today. As Carla said, I run ecosystem development at Web3 Foundation, which is the Swiss foundation which launched Polkadot and is responsible for improving the protocol now and coordinating the ecosystem of the hundreds of companies that are now building on our technology. I've been in the general blockchain space for quite a long time. In 2013, 2014, I was a cryptography researcher, then worked in finance for a while, and then came back to blockchain around 2017 when I started investing regularly in layer one protocols at a VC fund and joined Polkadot about 2.5 years ago.
Great. Thank you very much, Dieter. So I would like to highlight that all three panel speakers are non-banker but that they all have financial expertise. But I'm very thrilled to have such a highly skilled tech panel of like exchange people and protocol people here. So let's kick this off. My first question would be, in your opinion, what is the most relevant advantage of tokenization of assets and why? And please try to keep it only to one advantage in order to not make it too broad. I know there are many, but what is the most important one? Maybe Max, you would like to kick it off?
Sure. Thank you, Carla. I mean, as you said, it's not that easy maybe to pick one only, but if I had to pick one, it is really that it provides people with access and the ability to invest into asset classes that they otherwise would not be able to or know how to invest into. We're living at times with really uncertain financial circumstances. We have insane inflation going on, no interest rates. People don't know what to do with their money. And providing people in straightforward, easy way to invest and diversify their portfolio, their investment portfolio, is what I perceive to be, from my point of view, the number one advantage of the underlying idea of tokenization of assets, so that people can invest into things that they normally wouldn't have access to, be it, I don't know, some shares, equity, be it some very expensive whiskey or cheeses or whatever it might be. I think that would be the number one for me.
Yeah, it's kind of democratizing the whole. I think my screen's broken or like frozen.
I hear you though.
Good. So it will be the democratization of investment possibilities, where today, like as a normal person, you are not allowed to invest into certain papers and securities because simply you are excluded because either you don't have enough money or not enough knowledge to be accepted in this circle, right? Great. Thank you. What do you think, Dieter? What would be your state on this?
Yeah. So just to caveat everything, it's important to say that my views are my own and not those of the Web3 Foundation. But for me, tokenization of assets can fundamentally bring back control of assets to the people who hold them, kind of limiting, in a sense, the need for third-party custodians to act as intermediaries. And there's a big difference here saying that we want to eliminate the need for third-party custodians and actually professing that people should not use them or people should hold all their own assets. Like, I don't think that's the case at all. But I do think it's very important that people have access to their assets and can actually withdraw them from a platform. As what this will actually do, and you're starting to see this kind of in the more crypto native DeFi circles today, is you lead to the creation of very, very interesting secondary markets. And I know, I think in the regulated space and kind of in the security token space, this will take much, much longer to develop. But I do think allowing people the ability to hold their own assets will just really open up the floodgates to much more interesting financial applications and markets that can trade them on.
That is a very interesting statement. Thank you. Very interesting. Daniela, how is your stand on this, please?
So in my point of view, I would say it's the best opportunity to start again from scratch. Like, it opens your mind and it allows you to like start from a blank page. You can develop new products, new processes. You can think in a different way, because finally we have the option to. So there is not the need to follow already given process, or to like have this saying like, because we always did that like that. So it just opens a fully new space of new ideas. And I think that is just a great opportunity where we can all jump in.
Very ambitious, but so we all agree that there are a lot of very important advantages of digital assets becoming the future and security tokens being made available at a larger scale. Unfortunately, we are not there yet today. So if we really want to become the future, what do we need to do? Or what is not happening today, or why are we not yet there? So let's start first. What's the problem? Why are we not there? And how could we improve this? Maybe Daniela, you would like to take the lead here.
Yeah, sure. So I think one of the big things is the insecurity for customers, but also for all players in the market. And I mean, this is also on different levels, because the barriers are kind of high on the technology level, but also product-wise or regulation-wise. So it's just a very complex topic, bringing a lot of different domains together. And that, leads to maybe also not that much transparency, what's currently happening where and who's allowed to do what. So insecurity usually is killing innovation in that sense.
Interesting point. So that would mean the advantage of tokenizing assets is transparency, but there is no transparency yet in the process on how to get there and how to continue from then on once you have tokenized an asset. So exactly the one huge lack in this area. So what would you do, or what is necessary in order to manage this element?
Yeah, I mean, this is like what we should focus on, that we build our products more customer centric, that we try to provide the customer what the needs are and not too fractionalized, that we try to improve on the product level, but maybe also on infrastructural level, that we actually provide technology that does exactly what the needs are. And I think there are two options, because regulatory wise, there's not much we can do, right?
I think, Max, this should resonate with you. If I remember well, our introduction call yesterday, you were saying more or less the same thing, that user experience is not there yet. So maybe you want to take over.
Yeah, I mean, listen, every revolution starts out small somehow, right? And it's an insanely new idea, technology behind it. And we see that the demand is exploding. We see that, what you could have called the early stage of 2021, the NFT year, almost, if you wanted to. We see that more and more users are interested in it, corporate and retail customers. But we have to be very careful, that we take people by the hand and educate them and lead them, so to say, to the promised land, or whatever you want to call it. We see that, people start to familiarize themselves a little bit with what the hell is a blockchain. They start to understand a little bit more about what Bitcoin even is or isn't, and what the pros and cons are. It's the first stage. And in order for us to really generate a big market, we need to explain people what this whole idea of tokenization even means. What as we discussed earlier, what you so greatly presented, Carla, what advantages and disadvantages, aka risks, maybe are with it. And you cannot expect to, have a huge market, huge success overnight. And it all stands and falls with taking people by the hand and educating them, explaining them what the hell is going on. I mean, I'm German. I grew up in Germany, and I can only say that our education system, when it comes to money, is abysmal. It's horrific, has always been. And now when you put on top of that this whole new aspect of technology, it's getting even worse. No one knows what the hell is you're talking about here. And it's very crucial for us. And that's why we at Kraken, we have this whole focus on the educational sector to try to explain somehow what it is that we're talking about, and you want to do it. And, we can only have success as a whole industry, not just Kraken, but everyone on this panel, probably everyone participating in this conference and everyone in the industry in general. We can all just have success if we all together educate people and try to bring them in somehow. That's the only way. Otherwise, it won't happen. Listen, with the whole crypto space, we have 0.01% of the way, maybe. That's just the whole cryptocurrency industry. Doesn't even mean the tokenization aspect of it only.
I agree with you, Max, but it's not only education, it's also the job on our side that we have to create a user experience that is more intuitive and more easily understandable, And I have the feeling, and I know like people who are already onboarded in exchanges, they trade like every day, and for them, this is intuitive. But if you do this the first time, it's really difficult.
Absolutely. And I agree. And, when we talk about us growing the industry and the ecosystem and having success and leading the revolution, right? We cannot think and focus on us 4 people here. That will not work. We need to think about people who have no idea about it. We're a little bit more maybe, careful with their money and what they're doing. They don't really know about it. We need to create ways for them to get into it. And as you know, of course, it stands and falls with user experience and easy ways to get into it. Right? Mm-hmm. Absolutely. You need to crawl and walk before you try to run a marathon. And this is very applicable here.
So Dieter, you as a Polkadot ecosystem developer, you are focusing on finding companies who then are building these user experiences on top of Polkadot. Do you agree with the points that we've just taken up, or would you say that there is another bigger point that we kind of missed?
Yeah, somewhat. I think in your introduction, Carla, something you focused on quite a bit as to why tokenized assets were interesting, or to some extent the properties of these assets. So the fact that you can have fractional ownership of things, the fact that I think there were some other items you identified. For me, none of this is that interesting unless someone can actually transfer these assets in more interesting ways. Because if I just wanted to basically obtain an asset where I had fractional ownership of a painting, this could be issued by a centralized authority. And unless there's an ability to transfer that and trade that, I'm not sure if having this in a tokenized form is that valuable. Right. And so I'm getting to my point. So what I think really prevents tokenized assets from being established broadly is that, again, you don't have the UI, you don't have the ability to use the tech. But where this actually hits things is if you don't have the tech in a good enough situation where users, everyday users, people who can use computers, can actually use it, then you can't build up interesting financial applications and interesting markets that allow people to actually trade these assets in interesting ways. And it's really decentralized tech that allows for really creative things to be done here, because you don't have basically a singleized centralized entity that is acting as an authority governing these trades. Right. And that can give you so much more flexibility in what you can actually do. Right. So the big limiting factor is if I want to go and use a DeFi focused application on Ethereum today, it sucks. It sucks in so many ways. You have to pay tons of fees. You have to have use MetaMask and put ETH in your wallet. And nothing works, even if you do everything correctly, even when I try to do stuff, and let alone my mother kind of thing. We need to break that down, and we need more scalable, better, more flexible platforms that actually allow us to build good technology to reach real users.
Great. Can I maybe add something on top? The tech allows for a lot of things that can be done, but at least what we see also from the users that you mentioned, it doesn't really work without having someone there to be the counterpart of that user. Because usually if something went wrong and our users are not the software development high-level tech leads, then they need to call someone. they would probably ask if someone can help them with their transfer, or they transferred it wrongly and ask how to get it back. So I think, yes, with tech, a lot of possibilities come in, but like some roles still need to be there in the end.
I mean, not necessarily, right? Like you could incentivize people to provide support for other people in decentralized networks. This doesn't need to be a centralized managed function, right? I mean, of course, it's much harder to do that. It takes really interesting incentive systems, but ultimately, that's where we want to get to. And this is really what we're trying to build at Polkadot, like a way for companies to easily, well, as easily as possible, like deploy decentralized technologies and kind of reduce as many of these frictions as you can.
Yeah, this is actually the big market shift whether, I mean, the technology would allow for decentralized ways to move forward, but we as a world are so used to centralized systems that for us, it is a huge mind shift to get there. And so this will need a lot more, not just good user interfaces and good regulatory, and so it also needs mind flexibility and acceptance that it is possible to change things fundamentally and do solve problems in another way that were unthinkable before. So this is going to be a challenge also for the minds.
But totally. But Daniela, to take your example, I mean, something you could do is like build in rewards in the protocol for like users who are not like part of the centralized system to help other users. And if this is validated by a certain kind of, I don't know, method like on chain, then they could earn rewards for this, right? So there's all these little things that can be done that are very difficult to do in practice.
Absolutely true. It's just like processes are even harder to change than technologies. I mean, we all know that. And moving people to behave in a certain way, it just takes time.
Yeah,
sure.
So Daniela, you as a representative of Stuttgart, how do you judge, like, is this like tokenization of security tokens? Is this an interesting business opportunity for you as an exchange?
Definitely, because it allows for like new processes, maybe more affordable processes for also the customers. And in the end, also higher trading possibilities, new products to be traded. So of course, this is like an important pillar of the whole digital ecosystem.
Great. Yeah, Max, I'm not sure if you are allowed to, I know that you're quite secretive about the strategy of Kraken. We've discussed yesterday that if you were to go down this path and would want to offer the possibility to trade security tokens, the process to get there would be quite cumbersome, right?
Yeah, we talked about it, and I hope you understand that I will not go into any details of what it is that we're currently doing or not going to do. Of course, we have to diversify our product portfolio, and we at Kraken always looking to expand our offering in every possible direction. Of course, if you want, we're a global exchange, right? So clients across the globe in all jurisdictions almost. And, rolling out, let's say, highly regulated product like this globally, that's more than impossible in one go overnight, right? So if you want to do something like this, you might want to do some sort of phased approach where start with certain jurisdictions, get some learnings and get an understanding of what the actual real market demand is, and then make your decisions based on the experiences that you gained.
Of course. We're very curious to see how fast you will get there.
Stay tuned.
Wonderful. So we are running out of time. I think we have 2 more minutes left. So my last question, my closing question would be, we're not quite there yet, but we all agree that tokenization of assets are the future. So how long will we need to get there? Peter, what is your estimation, like into the wild?
Yeah, I mean, I think 10 years is too long. I think a couple of years is probably too short. But, I think like really what we're trying to solve for is a tech and UI problem. And like what it takes for us to actually get, I think like, interesting tokenized assets, again, are these like there's better ability for everyday users to actually use the tech, right? So this is not only going to make, I think, tokenized assets much more interesting and accessible, but actually make blockchain technology much more interesting and accessible kind of by the same token, part of the pun.
Thank you. Very good closing remark. So, Max, what is your take on this?
Spoke
Higher
about
or
yesterday,
lower?
Carla. What are you doing to me? If I would know exactly how long things take and what's going to happen in 3, 5, 10 years, I wouldn't be working anymore. Trust me on that.
True.
No,
None of us would.
but listen, I mean, I think we touched on it. We're still early stage, right? When we talk about tokenization of assets, but also as the whole, what's called cryptocurrency industry, absolutely in the early stages. Will it take 10 years? I kind of agree with Dieter. From my gut feeling, that would be too long. Will it take 3 years? I don't think so. I think it will take more. So something between that, because again, we touched on this. We need to take people by the hand. We need to grow. We need to expand in our possible directions. And I think we have the chance to really revolutionize the way people handle their financials and really change significantly how the world works. But it will take time. It won't happen overnight, and it won't happen in 2 nights.
Thank you very much. Daniela, as a mathematician, I expect a very exact number from you in seconds.
Oh, wow. I'm not that good in calculating that in my head. But to be honest, I think it might be way longer than we would wish for. Because until we have like something established, like that we have high quality services, the full ecosystem, and certainty for all the players in that ecosystem, I think we're looking at more like around the 10-year thing. I mean, it sounds horrible to all of us, but I guess it's more the reality, just from my point of view.
Thank you very much. So it's more than 3 years and hopefully less than 15. Let's find out together. Thank you very much for this excellent panel discussion. I'm handing back to Frankfurt.
Hopefully less than 50 years. That's a good point. Thank you, Clara, and thank you to all of the panelists. It was amazing listening to you.